to the cloud. Got it. Okay. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all for participating in our recruiting training emails. I got some fantastic feedback from all of that. And so I'm really glad that you went through all 5 of those, because one training is great, but all 5 of them together is just really beneficial. The thing is, recruiting, you have to have a pool of potential recruits. And those come from successful parties. Hostess coaching is the backbone of your business. Your recruits come from successful parties, your sales come from successful parties, and successful parties come from successful hostesses. We are lucky because we get to work and we get to party in our pajamas. We don't have to fix our hair or put on makeup to have a party. We don't have to get childcare or get dinner ready before we leave the house. We don't have to carry books all over town, set them up, take them down for every party. We don't have to fill out order forms, take payment information, and enter in all the orders after the party. We have it easy during the actual party. Compared to that, we have it easy. Go to convention and talk to any of these ladies that have been around for 20 years. They will tell you what it was like to run a party before Facebook parties. It is crazy. So we have it pretty easy. So if we're going to have the luxury of all that, then we have to put a lot of work in on the front end to get our hostesses excited. This is not something you can skip. This is not something you can do partially. You have to commit the time to it if you want results. All right, let me find, okay, screen share. And then present. Okay. So this is a proven method. I actually have not had a mass invite since last summer. 95% of my parties have 25 RSVPs. 90% of my parties hit $250 in sales. Hostesses always show up. Over 75% of my new recruits are former hostesses. And you can ask this of any successful UBAM leader. Now, I will say that sometimes if I can tell a hostess is just not into it and she's got 8 RSVPs, I will ask her to reschedule the party, and a lot of times she just cancels. So I will say I don't do parties that have just very few RSVPs. If you're just absolutely desperate for parties and you want to run those parties with 8 RSVPs, you are welcome to, but don't get disappointed when your stats don't look, like this, because those are going to be more disappointing parties, but I don't fault anybody for running a party like that. So we have to work on getting our hostesses committed. So there's a difference between interest and commitment. When you're interested in something, you do it only when it's convenient. When you're committed to something, you accept no excuses, only results. Get her committed. Why would she help you? Why would she put in the time to introduce all of her friends to you if she doesn't know you? You have to build a relationship with her. And that's what all of this hostess coaching is about, is building that relationship and getting her committed. So let me go back to my notes because I'm going to want to share this. Okay. But this is not a foolproof method. There is no foolproof method. However, it can drastically decrease your chances of a flop party. It can help you tackle mass invites, low RSVP counts, low participation, low sales, a hostess forgetting about the party. How many of you have had a hostess not show up to a party? So, I mean, that's just one of the biggest blows. So it happens to the best of us. We can help prevent it. When your hostess agrees to host, she's usually excited. However, excitement is not enough. If your hostess came to a party, she's generally a little more excited than if you just asked her out of the blue. So if this is somebody you just asked out of the blue out from like a booking blitz, that's going to be a little harder. So you want to keep that excitement going by checking in with her leading up to the event, ask her how she likes her books that she got from the party, asking about her favorites. Keep the conversation going with her just like you were trying to recruit her. Even if it's just a hostess, keep the conversation going. You all watch that video for recruiting. If it's a hostess that you got out of the blue, then you want to generate that excitement. They are merely interested in hosting a party with you right now. They aren't excited and they aren't committed yet. But if you can get your hostess to some level of commitment, then you're going to have a much greater chance of finding the time to make the party a success. And so it's all about building that relationship. All right, so first, you are going to nail down a date. And I know I don't want to skip this part. If you've been around for a while, you know that we all train on this. You do not ever tell her, let me know when you can do a party, or let me know when you pick a date. You always say, I have my calendar pulled up right now and I have an opening for March 13th or March 15th. Which date works for you? You always give her 2 dates and make her choose one. If she balks a little bit at that and says, well, I don't really know yet, I don't know what my schedule is going to be like. Be like, that is fine, but let's put you down a date. We can always change it. If we get closer to time and you see you're too busy, we can change it, but we need a date on the calendar so I can just remember to call you. If she says, well, let me ask around, let me see if I have any friends interested first. Don't ever let her do that. Just say, that sounds great. That's a great idea. But let's pick a date first, because I have found that people are generally more likely to commit to something if you have a date committed already. They want to commit with somebody that's already committed. So let's just pick a date. Again, we can change it, but let's pick a date. So really focus on that. Number 2, so number 1 is to make sure and nail down a date. Number 2, call on the phone. I know some of you are shutting down your ears right now because you do not want to pick up the phone. I get it. It does make a difference. Is it the only thing that makes a difference? If you just start calling your hostess, are you already all of a sudden going to have $500 parties? No, because I have told people to do this and they come back a couple weeks later and they're like, I tried to call and it didn't really make a difference. It's one part of hostess coaching, but it's a big part. But after you do it a few times, you'll really see the benefits, and it helps you see the hostess as a person and really relate to them, and therefore she relates to you. Is this the answer to all your problems? Not at all, but it's a very good way to establish that relationship early. I always text her first before I call and say, hey, Sally, I'm finishing up some work this morning and I'm ready for a call. Is now still a good time? And then call as soon as she responds. That helps make sure that they pick up. And then you want to have a checklist when you call. And I will share this with you guys. I will share it in the comments now. Then you can also message me later if you want, but I'm going to screen share right now because I've got the actual script typed out. Did that share? Can y'all see that? Tara, can you see that that I'm scrolling through? You're the only face I can see right now.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, well, now I just lost it. Okay. Okay, can you see it says hostess coaching phone call? Okay. So I am going to share this with you because I put a script and I want you to change it to sound more like you. But this is just a good way to have a crutch when you are on a phone call because it is intimidating for some people, and I get that. So the idea here is you want to ask her a lot of questions. They're questions you really already know the answer to, and you really have the answer in your head already, but you want her to answer it and help you come up with the answer because you are getting that commitment. Getting her to respond, getting her to talk back to you is getting her committed and invested in the party. It's psychology 101. So you want to confirm that time and date again. And I just say, okay, so I do most of my parties at 8:30 p.m. in the time zone of where most of the customers are located. I found that more moms have kiddos in bed by that time so they can really focus on the party. Does that work for you and your friends? So most of 95% of the time they say yes. But you're making her have that decision. Then help her pick a date to set up the event. You're setting it up. You have a date in mind. She doesn't really care but you're giving her a chance to be a part of the decision. So I have you down for February 10th. I was looking at setting your party up around February 2nd. Do you think that gives your friends plenty of time to see a few pre-party posts and get excited about the event? She'll say yes or no. If she says no, don't just go up a day or back a day, whatever. I've never had anybody say no. Okay, then we have the inviting people to Facebook. This is huge because you can do this multiple ways. The key is using this wording. I do this in a message before I even get on the phone call. And then when I get on the phone call, I just kind of remind them and make them tell me again they're not going to mass invite. One big thing that I see people miss when they have a lot of mass inviters, well, there's two big things. They will say that they do not put the words personal and individual message in there. You want to make sure and do that because I've had people send group messages. They also don't say, when they say yes, then add them to the event. I've seen a lot of people say, you'll really want to send messages first. We don't do mass inviting. You want to send a message first before you invite them. That's not right, because what hostesses will do is they'll send the message and then they'll turn right back around and invite them before they wait and hear back from them. So they think they're doing it right. They think they're doing the correct thing, but they're not. They're not waiting for that yes response. So you want to make sure and put that in there. And then you always want to end with this question. Are you okay with inviting people this way? Again, Psychology 101. You want them to say, yes, I get it. I'm understanding. I will invite this way. Getting them to say yes, it makes all the difference, because hostesses, we've all had hostesses that lie. I hate to say it. They do. They're much less likely to lie to you when they have told you point blank, yes, I am okay with inviting this way. So I do this in a message before the party, but then I reiterate it in the phone call. If I've already said it in the message, I don't go into all of it again in the phone call. I'll just say, hey, I know I already talked about this, but it's just really important. Remember, send a message, wait for them to say yes, then add them to the event. Do you remember me talking about that? Or do you have any questions about that? So she makes sure she understands that. Okay, next, give her perspective. I'll say sending personal messages is so worth it, but it does take a lot of messages. Don't be surprised if some people don't answer your message. We can loop back around to them. It does take a lot of messages. I think I sent around 200 messages for my first party. I like to just sit down in 15-minute increments and knock out as many as I can in one sitting, then come back later and do it again. It helps to break it up. So I'm just giving her a little tip on it does take a lot of messages, but don't feel like you don't have enough time. Just sit down for 15 minutes. Everybody has 15 minutes today and 15 minutes tomorrow. And you will be so surprised at how many messages you can send out in that 15 minutes. Giving her that time frame helps her not feel so overwhelmed. All right, here's another way that you can get her involved. I said, so we decided to set it up on February 2nd. So look at your schedule. Do you think that's about when you can start sending messages? I just want to make sure to know when I can expect to do some pre-party engagement posts. Again, this is getting her involved. She might say, oh, I have church on that night, so I'm probably not going to start on February 2nd, but I'll be able to on February 3rd. Like, okay, that's perfect. I'll still set it up on the 2nd, but start sending messages on the 3rd, and I'll start the pre-party post soon. Again, just getting her involved. Then tell her a little about the pre-party. I will be doing one pre-party post every other day leading up to your party. I don't want to do too many and overwhelm people, but I do want to get to know your friends better before the party actually starts. Make sure that they all know that the pre-party posts earn them raffle entries too. Then I ask her what date she wants to close the party. Again, I know when I want to close the party, but I want her to be involved. So I say, I want to make sure your friends have a deadline to order, or else they'll drag their feet on ordering and forget. So I'm thinking we'll close the party out at midnight the next night after the party date. That gives them over 24 hours to order. And sometimes I'll say in here, they can order early too. If someone just really needs more time, you can just let me know and we can adjust from there. Are you okay with starting with the 24 hours and then assessing from there? She'll say yes or no, and you can say, okay, good. That puts us closing the party date at midnight on February 11th. Can you see any issues with that date? So a lot of times she'll say, well, you know, we get paid the next day. And I'll say, okay, that's great, but let's start with the 24 hours just to get people, you know, excited and ordering. And then if we see a lot of people saying like, oh, let's wait till payday, we can extend it. Like we can always extend it, really push for that 24 hours, but let her have a discussion about it. All right, tell her about the monthly special. I always give away something fun to my hostesses if they reach like a $600 party or a $800 party. I really think that this makes our team different, and it gets me bigger parties. It gets me more parties. It gets me parties that otherwise would not have. So it's definitely not a waste of money because, again, it's money I wouldn't have had anyway. So why not spend, you know, $50 on some Kinder Scott earrings to have a $600 party that I wouldn't have otherwise had. I also, you can put a hostess requirement on it. Say, you know, it has to be an $800 party and get 1 booking or 2 bookings or whatever. So I always do this. But I asked them here, I said, which one would you like? Would you like a Kinder Scott or Amazon gift card or an Instapot or whatever you're offering? And have them pick. That's, again, Psychology 101. She starts picturing herself with that Kinder Scott jewelry and gets a little more excited. I always try to get a referral from my hostess, and I get her to start thinking about it now. So I say, in order to get that big bonus of $50 in free books, we do have to get 1 booking from your party. Typically, someone signs up during the party, but before the party, send me 5 names of people who are super active on Facebook and have lots of mom friends, and I will reach out to them for you and see if any of them want to book. Again, this is important. Psychology 101. Notice I did not ask for 5 names of people who would be interested in a party. That is making your hostess predict how someone feels. You don't want them to have to predict how someone feels about hosting a party. I instead asked, who is active on Facebook and has a lot of mom friends? Everyone knows people like that. We don't know whether she wants to host a party or not. That I'm not asking her to predict that. I'm just asking who has a lot of mom friends. And she doesn't have to give you those 5 names right then, but you can ask again closer to the party, and maybe she's been thinking about those 5 names. I always give a freebie for getting 25 RSVP, so I mentioned that here. I mentioned my party minimum and the tax and shipping. And then down here at the bottom, another important one, ask for her favorite book or series. Again, gets her involved. Ask her if she has a picture with her child with that book, whatever you want to do. And then I mail and then get the address for mailing the hostess packet. All right, again, I have shared all that with you in the chat, but I will share it with you if you will message me or message Britton or Susan or Kate. All right, so in my hostess packet, again, this is not a game changer, but mixed with everything else, it really helps. I send a letter from me. It's just goes over kind of what we talk about in the phone call anyway, like, you know, make sure how to invite again. Thank you for hosting. Nothing just revolutionary. The hostess rewards chart, a catalog or mini catalog. If you are if you're new and worried about your budget, just send a mini catalog. I joined my team flyer and a bookmark or some other little happy from the dollar store. No more than $1 or $2 there. I mail that to all my hostesses. It gets them excited. You tell them they've got some mail on the way. Again, another little thing to make them excited. All right, then do not complicate your pre-party posts. I see this mistake a lot in new people doing 2 pre-party posts a day. If you look at any trainers of Facebook parties like the Tag Team or Belinda Ellsworth, they talk about the #1 way that you lose customers is in the pre-party. They feel like it's going to be pushy and not fun. So I really like to train on one pre-party post every other day, especially if you set it out a full week ahead, because you don't want to do 7 pre-party posts. That's too many. So I do one every other day. Remember that people have the attention span of a goldfish. So keep it interactive and fun, but do not overcomplicate things. I do one of those, like pick A, B, C, or D. What's your favorite book nook? Pick what month is your birthday? That's where your dream vacation. Age of your readers, that's always an easy one. I try to make them as simple as possible, and those get the best interaction. And it's a pressure-free interaction. And the more they interact, the more they'll see your stuff on their newsfeed. I always upgrade the prize. If she hits 25 RSVPs, I'll upgrade it to a second prize if she gets 40 or 50 RSVPs. So I always do that. Always try to recruit your hostess. You always want to mention it, even if it looks like it's going to be a huge party and you really want the sales. If you don't recruit your hostess just because you really want the sales, that is looking at short term and not long term, and it is not going to benefit you long term. And it's going to get you, that $100 commission that week, which is awesome. But think if she became a recruit, then and especially if you're a team leader or promoting to team leader, then that could be hundreds and thousands of dollars over a course of a few years. So you definitely want to pick the long term and recruit your hostess. Okay, follow-up. When we think of follow-up, we always think of follow-up as after the party. This is follow-up before the party. You want to first make sure she follows up with those who have not RSVP'd yet. We've always trained on that. Just saying, hey, I see 14 girls haven't responded yet. Just send them a quick follow-up that says, hey, I sent you an invitation to the event. Make sure an RSVP for your first raffle entry, and then attach the link to the event. So you want to make sure she does that. But then for the girls who have not responded to her message at all, I always ask them to respond to them as well. Now, I have had really good luck with this. Hostesses are not always willing to do this, and so you kind of have to respect that. I do it, and I've had good results with it. I just say, hey, Sarah, just looping back around you on this, did you get a chance to see if you wanted to come to the Usborne party tonight? I said, hey, Sarah, and my Siri thought I was talking to it. Did you get a chance to see if you wanted to come to the Usborne book party tonight? I'm getting so excited about it. Just something short and sweet. Just say you're looping back around to them. Did you get a chance to look at your calendar about the party tonight? I'm getting so excited. That's all they have to say. And you get a lot of response because people say, oh, yeah, I thought I'd responded to you on this. Or I was at a soccer game and saw this and forgot to respond. So looping back around can always get more RSVPs. Have her post on her wall that just with a graphic, make sure she has a graphic that just says, don't forget I'm hosting a book party tonight. We have a great group on the event already. Who else wants to come? Usually 2 or 3 people comment and want to come to the party just from that post. Some hostesses think that this is going to get them like 10 people to their party. No, 1 or 2 max, but still I like to do it. Remind her to stay engaged by commenting and liking her friends' comments before and during the party. Remember, her friends do not really know you yet. They are there for her, not you. Make sure she is interacting. And then it does not matter how many RSVPs she has. If she does not send a reminder 30 minutes before the party, 45 minutes before the party, whatever you train on, people don't show up. They have to have that reminder. So make sure you're reminding her to remind them. Some of you send like a hostess coaching email. I don't have that personally. I just kind of have this checklist and I keep in touch with her because I just found that people weren't reading the email. If you do send that email, I think that's great, but do not rely on it. If you have reminded her to send reminder messages in that email 3 days ago, she's probably not going to remember. You need to remember to remind her because it's important. Sometimes if the person has not reached 25 RSVPs by the time the party starts, I will say, okay, You didn't get the prize for 25 RSVPs, but that's fine. Let's try this. If we can get 15 people to show up and participate throughout the party, I'll give you the prize anyway, or 12 people, or whatever you need. I mean, if you get 10 people at a party, that's a good party. So I'll just say, if you can get 10 people, that you've got 15 RSVPs, so you just need to get 10 of those people to show up and participate throughout the party. I always say throughout the party, because if you just say roll call, she'll go out and just get people to comment on roll call, and that is not what you want. And so that sometimes incentivizes them to go and make sure their friends show up, even if they have a lower RSVP count. All right, any questions from that? I'm going to go into after party. I'm going to read the chat over here. Leah said, how long does your call typically last? 10 to 15 minutes. If the host is really chatty, then it's sometimes a little longer, but I power through things pretty quick. And you can always make up something that you have to go to when you get on the phone call. Like, hey, I've got just 15 minutes. I know your time is valuable. And so Susan's making fun of me. I say, I know your time's valuable, so I'm only going to take up like 10 or 15 minutes, and I have another call after this, so let's just power through this. I know you're a busy mom. So yeah, that's how long mine lasts. Tara says, do you ever change the RSVPs to going if you can tell that they didn't mass invite? I personally don't do that. I know some directors train on that and have had good luck with it. So I don't. Maybe I say so that at the last minute, if I know she's sent out all the reminder messages, or someone's participating in the party and haven't RSVP'd yet, then yes, I will change them to going. But I will not go through and just change all of them to going. But that's your call. Kelly said, can you mention what you put in the Hostess packet again? Yeah, I'll share this with you guys later. Hostess packet, I do a letter from me, a handwritten, like, thank you for hosting little card, and I write them all out at once. Like, actually, my personal assistant writes them. It's not even my handwriting. So I just get one of those, like, cards that, well, those are welcome cards. Just thank you cards, or little, like, here's some little tree cards. And write them, like, I'll write 20 of them out at once. Just spend one day just writing them all out. And have those ready to drop in there. Instructions on how to invite, the Hostess rewards chart, a catalog, a join my team flyer, and a bookmark or some other little notebook or little happy to put in, just make it a little more fun. Mini sticker book, you could throw one of those in there. All right, let me check the chat. Oh, Savannah says she marks sometimes for elderly people when they're there but they haven't RSVP'd. Yes, I would say that's an okay time to mark them as RSVP'd. Let's see. Do you send Hostess packets with catalogs via media mail? No, I don't think you're technically supposed to send those media mail. I mean, I'm not one for following the rules, so I might have before, who knows? But no, you're not supposed to. How much does it usually cost to send a Hostess coaching packet? If you send the mini catalogs, you can usually do it first class, and so it's just like around $3. The bigger catalogs make it over 16 ounces usually, and so you can't do it first class. And that's when I do it media mail, even though you're probably not supposed to do it media mail. Just have it already sealed up when you take it there. Don't let them know there's more than books in there. Yeah, Susan says $3.25. Yeah, Summer says, yes, you can change RSVPs. You can change people to going. I don't love to do it just because they get a notification that says, Sarah said you were going to this event. And I don't know. I don't love that unless it's a unique situation. Jenny said, how far out do you typically schedule parties? I try to do them within a week. I try to do them quick. But if they just insist on it being further out, then I'll accommodate that, obviously. But yeah, I try to do them as fast as possible, because the faster that you can get them booked, the faster it snowballs and you have more and more parties on the calendar. What do you do when a hostess keeps pushing you off and just try to avoid the phone call? That has happened before, and you just try to do your best doing it through Messenger. But I just try to make it sound like I'm doing them a favor by doing this call. I'm like, okay, I could message you this, but it would take me just 10 minutes to do this on the phone. I'm like, I know your time is valuable, and it would be so much easier for me to just call you. And I try to make it seem like I'm doing you a favor. I know you're busy, so I'm trying to make this quick for you. And that sometimes helps. Do you always have the host designated as host on a Facebook party, so they message people through the party that way, or are they just a yes RSVP? Good question. I always have them just as a yes RSVP. I don't make them a host just because they can RSVP for people if they're a host, and I don't like them to have that ability because I've gotten burned that way. Also, I don't think it's that hard to copy and paste and send people a message. I don't feel like that message through the event feature is just necessary. Now, if she ends up getting like 50 RSVPs and she's a rock star hostess, first of all, I'm going to recruit her, so I'm going to make her the hostess anyway. Second of all, you kind of know that she knows what she's doing, so I might add her as a host then, later on, but I will not do it until the last minute or until it's time to send those messages. Do you double book your parties? Yes, I double book parties all the time. Yeah, and so Summer, they can't message through the event page. I don't personally use the message through the event page. I don't train on that. I don't think it's a bad thing to train on. I just personally don't. But if you do, I would always recommend like making her the host at the last minute so she can send those messages. I would not make her the host from the very beginning because I don't like for them to be able to change the RSVPs to going. Sarah, what does a typical month party calendar look like for you? What would a goal month look like for you? Like I may have a goal of 12, but a typical one in the fall was 4 parties, while it was 8 parties in the spring when I was working to promote. I'm curious how you try to plan a month. I think asking a director or an executive that is a little bit harder because we do really try to shift our focus to like teams. Like this month is all about team trainings. I'm just doing a million team trainings, coaching my team. Next month, I'm going to go 100% on my personal business and try to get, like right now, I've got 3 parties on the calendar, and I'm going to try to get a lot, from each one of those parties and try to get more before then. So, but then this month I've only got 3 parties on the calendar, and that's all I'm going to have because I'm spending so much time on training. But I always hit HOC2. No matter what, I always hit HOC2. That's always my goal. So I think 8 is always a solid number to go with because there are going to be flops. And I would rather you have 8 on your calendar and really spend the time hostess coaching those 8 than have 12 and not spend the time hostess coaching and not spend the time to make them a good party. Because I know you all say, oh, the hostess was bad. People love to blame the hostess. And a lot of times it is her fault. I get it. But you have to take some of the responsibility yourself and just know that maybe you could have coached them better. Maybe you could have put a little more time or effort into them. Because not only will it make her party sales better, but it'll make her party more exciting and get more bookings. It just snowballs. So yeah, 8 would be, if I was trying to do an ideal month, when I was trying to promote, I did 20 parties a month. If you're trying to earn Connect 4, I would say 12 parties a month. Right now, I shoot for 8 just because I do so many other trainings and things like that. I currently send a hostess email and include info about paying tax and shipping on books. When would you cover that info without an email? I do that in my phone call, Jessica. You could also put it in the hostess packet that you mail out, so just anytime. All right, any other questions about before the party hostess coaching? Okay, put them in the chats if you think of them. So after party is real easy, and this is something that we've always trained on and hasn't really changed, but I have mine follow up with people who came first. You can call it, you don't call these follow-ups to your hostess. Call them thank yous. Follow-ups scare people because they think that's salesy. And if they're not a naturally salesy hostess, they're not going to do it. They're going to balk at it. They're going to tell you they did it, but they didn't really. You tell them you're sending thank yous. You're sending thank yous. Just say your party was so fun last night. You have such a great group of friends. So first you want to make sure and send them all individual messages today and thank them for coming last night. You can also ask them if they found any books that they loved. So that's if people bought or didn't buy. You can say, hey, did you find anything you loved? And that reminds them to order. Then I have them follow up with people who didn't come. I'll just say, for the people who RSVP'd but couldn't make it, message them too. Just say, we missed you at the book party last night. It was really fun. You can still check out the post today, though. Was there anything in particular you were looking for? That's a question I have them ask. I've heard other things trained of, did you get a chance to look at the post or anything like that? I like to ask, was there anything in particular that you were looking for? And then remember to have her help you find your next hostess. Remember, you had her already thinking of 5 people who you thought would be good, but you want to say, okay, I love doing business with friends who have come to a fun party like this. So compliment her by saying, like, I want to do business with your friends because your friends are fun. So I say, okay, I love doing business with friends who have come to a fun party like this. Do you have your list of 4 to 5 people who are really active on Facebook and have lots of mom friends? And, I'll tell, and if she already has her 1 booking required for getting the double free books or whatever, then obviously she's not going to be incentivized, but I'll say, I'll throw in an extra $10 in free books for every booking we can find, or whatever you want to throw in. I always throw in some sort of incentive and get her to get me some names, and then I will message them. When I message them, I always build the relationship first. I say, oh my goodness, Susan's party is so fun. She told me that you would be, she's like, I need to look at the wording. I don't have it printed right here. She told me that you have lots of mom friends and we think you would be great at hosting if you ever thought about it. You want to build that relationship first. So I'll say, like, how do you know Susan? Or go to ask Susan how you know this person. Or go to the post 1 where if you ask, like, how do you know our hostess? Go and see, she says, oh, we went to high school together. In the post 1, be like, oh my goodness, you went to high school together? How long have you been friends? Build up some sort of relationship with the hostess and the hostess you're trying to recruit, and start there, and then ask if she wants to host. All right, so this has not been anything just revolutionary. I know it hasn't, but I think it's a really good reminder for everybody. And like I said, the core of your business. So I really hope that you learned at least something new. Okay, message me. Do you have any other questions? You can unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat. I see a few over here. Jenny Ann said, when would you call the hostess? The night of the party or the day after? I call the hostess about a week and a half before, a week before, right before I'm about to set up her party. To help get her excited about inviting. Rachel said, do you send them the shopping link with the thank you message? She could send the shopping link. I don't necessarily train on that or coach that way, but I would ask a question first before I sent the shopping link. It's just a little less salesy. You ask, like, did you find anything that you loved? And if they say yes, I would just discuss that with them instead of sending the shopping link. What else? All right, I'm going to stop the recording.